What are your inputs of current market trends in Hyderabad?
It's an open secret that we are in a slowdown at this moment.
Now AP having its own city. Do you think the market is going to get slightly diverted?
From a speculative investment point of view, Amravati becomes very attractive because there is a short-term gain to be made.
If you had 1 crore, where would you invest it and how would you invest it?
Owning an apartment today under 1 crore has become a challenge. This could be a good 24 months to 36 months window wherein the industry might auto-correct itself.
Well, what are your thoughts on 111
No government has been able to resolve this issue. This is not today's issue.
Do you believe that the supply is higher than the demand?
We are looking at a supply that is far more than the demand at this point of time.
Welcome to Hyderabad Growth Podcast. Today we have Sudhamsh with us, who's been in real estate industry for more than 17 years, just not in Telangana, but also in Karnataka. If you can, give us a little bit insight of your journey and, how you got into real estate and how has it been for you?
I've been in the industry since 2007. So I've earlier worked with Datri and Pooja. So my journey started with the first boom. That was the 2006-2007 boom, where the earlier Hyderabad outer ring road was just beginning to take shape. The airport was just beginning. It was an idea at that point of time. From then on, we went into a major crash. So my journey coincided with that. And then I had an opportunity to work outside Hyderabad in Mangalore, which is a fantastic, it's a beautiful city, very challenging to work there because of the climate and the terrain, unlike Hyderabad where it's all flat lands and it's easy to work. I came back again from 2016 onwards. I'm back in Hyderabad. So I had an opportunity to do different spaces, both in residential, retail and hotel and hospitality spaces. So, as the market grew, we along with it, you learn and you grow with it. A lot of new products are coming in. We've learned along the way and we've been exposed to them and we're trying to put them together for our customers today.
And also talking about market trends, right? What are your inputs of current market trends in Hyderabad?
So it's an open secret that we are in a slowdown at this moment as far as real estate is concerned. The sales velocity has slowed down. The inventory is slightly on the higher side, not very comfortable for the industry at this point of time. We had a government change because what happens in terms of real estate is we need a clarity in terms of we are interlinked with the infrastructure that's going to come around, right? If a road is developed, automatically there is work happening, then we come in, we build in our apartments or schools or hospitals and so on and so forth. So public infrastructure, not only in terms of roads, but parks or, social infrastructure or transportation networks and all that are very important. Unfortunately, we had 2 elections back to back coming in.
Yeah.
So the new government also didn't have time to settle down. And there is in terms of Hyderabad, there is an extreme focus on a very limited market. When you define Hyderabad in terms of, only West Hyderabad, there is a lot of inventory piled up and, we're looking at 50 odd high rises that are coming up. It is very new to Hyderabad. The last high rise which is occupied, which is 30 floors or 35 floors is Lodha, which was done about 10 years back. So from then on, we are having new high rises are just coming in. People are occupying them. The 30 floor ones are just, now people are talking about 50 floors, 70 floors. But if you leave this one market aside, if you go to the East Hyderabad market or the North Hyderabad market or the other micro markets in Hyderabad, the end users are still continuing to buy. So the speculative market is out. Okay. So the investor as such is out. So the developer is still present in the market. The good developers continue to bring in inventory. Good developers continue to bring in products at different sizes and categories. The consumer who needs the product is continuing to buy. It's only the speculative investor who's out at this point of time because there is little room for growth in the next couple of years. A lot of people say it's a 6-month blip and all that. I don't tend to agree with that. This could be a good 24 months to 36 months window wherein the industry might auto-correct itself, wherein, we will look at limited growths going forward. And also it will give some time for all the players in the industry to sit down, analyze their portfolios, relook at everything, and maybe, some patience, you're committing, even a developer is committing a lot of resources to a product. So maybe even the developers will slow down a little bit, take it like, maybe it's okay, it's not a problem. We don't need to launch a product every quarter. The advantage of a Hyderabad or Bangalore was they were affordable cities.
Yeah.
Cost of living was very low. We had good schools at lower prices. We had good hospitals. We have good housing at lower prices. So I think that balance was somehow missing somewhere. So that balance can be restored.
Well, what are your thoughts on 111 Geo?
See, 111 Geo is an ecosystem that was created to protect the two lakes, the Himayat Sagar and Usman Sagar lakes. Successive governments have looked at this issue. Successive governments have promised that they will take action in terms of resolving this issue. But no government has been able to resolve this issue. This is not today's issue. This has been there since the day I've come to industry. It was there before I came to the industry. So it's been there since 2003, if I'm not wrong. So 4-5 chief ministers have tried it. I think the current chief minister had made a couple of statements regarding this issue, that it's not a state level issue at this point of time, because the National Green Tribunal has to give a clearance on this. The Supreme Court clearances are required. So it's not an issue that will resolve very fast at this point of time.
Okay.
111 Geo again, because of its proximity to the West Zone, a lot of people have already invested into it. People have invested. A lot of people continue to believe that 111 Geo will be scrapped at some point. This has been a thought window from 2003 onwards. So people have continued to believe that thought, and they've continued to invest. So the next investor continues to believe that thought and keeps on investing.
So I think we have a lot of audiences here, like I said, who don't even know how to, analyze where to invest, right? So I am sure most of them are even confused. Should I invest in a land or an apartment? So what are your thoughts about that?
Again, we come back to the life cycle of the individual. Very important to see which age group you are in and what is your particular need. Why are we coming back to this is because real estate has become very expensive. Owning an apartment today under 1 crore has become a challenge. So for most people to build that 25-30 lakh corpus and then take a home loan is becoming slightly more difficult. So if you want to break down that journey, like, you buy a plot today for about 25-30 lakhs, spread that journey for another 5-7 years, and then take a loan again, and it will help you break that journey, in the sense that if you're looking at buying a plot today and then renting an apartment for the next 5 years, and then coming back to that location and building an independent house there, that's a break in journey wherein, you're adjusting your financial requirements, based on this. But if you're committing to a home loan today of about 75 lakh rupees, then you should have the financial wherewithal to continue to pay for the next 10-15 years or so.
I think now let's talk about the hot topic, AP Telangana, now AP having its own city, right? Do you think the market is going to get slightly diverted?
Hyderabad and Amravati are at a very different journey. The evolution of cities and their journeys are very different at this point of time. Amravati is a very young city at this point of time. The journey has just begun. Hyderabad, whereas, is a mature market wherein the IT industry is clustered around here. You have a vibrant pharmaceutical industry. You have a large public sector units that are available. And essentially, it's the capital of a large state also. Unlike Amravati, in Andhra Pradesh, there are multiple cities, which are big cities like Vizag, you have Tirupati, you have other cities also. But whereas in Telangana, there is no city as big as Hyderabad, or, we are entirely clustered around Hyderabad. So we've been receiving investments not only from different parts of India, but different parts of Telangana, different parts of Andhra. So where the challenges emerge in terms of how Amravati is like, where do we look at it? See, one, the entry point for different people into Hyderabad is becoming increasingly difficult. So today to pick up a good parcel of land, let's say an acre of land inside ORR is almost becoming difficult. Unless you're sitting on 10 to 15 crores, any part of the Hyderabad, except for few micro markets, is becoming very difficult for us to pick up lands here. So people who have a slightly longer horizon, and they can look at Amravati today as an opportunity, pick up something there. But in terms of large opportunities coming in without, employment categories being readily available at this point of time, it could be challenging for Amravati to compete with Hyderabad. It will take its own time. But from a speculative investment point of view, Amravati becomes very attractive because there is a short-term gain to be made. Some gains will happen in the short term because a lot of speculative investment will happen.
So we've seen, like a big boom in the last 2 years in real estate. According to you, is it organic or is it hype?
So again, this big boom that we're talking about, the post-COVID boom, there has been I think something has triggered in a way that we all want to secure ourselves in terms of financially. There is a lot more chatter around every investment category, whether it is equities, whether it is mutual funds, whether it is real estate, whether it is even something like a cryptocurrency. Back in the day, each one of us were discussing, should we buy Ripple, should we buy, Dogecoin, should we buy, Bitcoin or whatever. There were a next number of coins and everything. So in terms of real estate, there was a renewed interest post-COVID that everybody wanted to own a piece of land or piece of asset. It created a sense of urgency among the buyers and as well as the developers. So there was a very a significant movement of prices. But this trend, I think, is only limited to the West Hyderabad market. As far as our geography is concerned, we don't see such a trend of major price shifts in terms of markets in North Hyderabad or East Hyderabad or South Hyderabad. If you look at another 2-3 year window where we look at a stagnation, or a 6-7 year window, we're not growing beyond 11-10%, So whatever in Kokapet also we're seeing resistance.
Okay.
There is a price resistance coming in. There is a natural correction that will happen. And one more thing, what has happened, if you look at the central markets, like old Hyderabad, as they call now, the Banjara Hills, the Begumpets and those kind of places, we've not seen such a big increase also.
And why, maybe the reason of the boom?
Again, gated communities is the reason.
Okay.
So if you are in the westish Hyderabad, because the existing central Hyderabad didn't have opportunities to give you gated communities, most families, the next, like the earlier people who settled down around Jubilee Hills, Banjara Hills, the old Secunderabad and all, so they are moving to gated communities, or people are trying to migrate. More people are coming in. So people are coming, especially from North India, they are more dependent on brands in terms of their purchase decisions. Yes. Okay. So you had the big brands coming in, put in portfolios, big marketing spreads, and so they have attracted a significant chunk of migrant population. Hyderabad even today has a lot of migrant population coming from all parts of the country and Telugu states also. Apart from Telugu states, people are coming from different parts of the country also.
I think Hyderabad has a very
cosmopolitan,
diverse.
Yes.
So do you believe that the supply is higher than the demand, or it's more or less it meets the requirement?
See, the demand is on the lower side at this point of time with regard to the western markets, at least in the micro markets of Kollur, Mokila and Tellapur and Nalagandla and Gachibowli, Kokapet. These micro markets, we are looking at a supply that is far more than the demand at this point of time.
Maybe have a structured plan or strategy to what they want to do next.
Our industry goes through these cycles of, oversupply, undersupply, oversupply, undersupply.
Yeah.
And this is not a India phenomena or a Hyderabad phenomena. This is a global phenomena, because once you see an opportunity, then you would want to cash on it. And so does the 10 other developers who are part of this community. So it usually, some supply will always have to wait out, and then it will be sold out at a different price points, and then once the market improves, then you come. And also what is happening is markets have a natural cycle of maturing. After a point, the growth rates become much slower. Suddenly you don't, and the land availability will also be much lower. So what happened for us is that Neopolis auctions happened when we had a litigation that was pending with Golden Mile for the last 10 years that got resolved in 2017. So we had Goodwill auctions happen just before the election. So what happened to us was that suddenly we had a lot of supply in this micro market, which was all litigation free land, which is very, very, it takes a lot of time for a developer to clear a 5-acre parcel of land. But when it comes from the government side, you're good to go on day zero.
I'm sure our audience would like to know about how the market is with plotting.
So the 3 very important points is you have the proximity to ORR is very important. 1, to look at a good developer and the profile of the developer, and also the size of the product. Because sometimes when you have large communities, you have a good amenity space that is left. Let's say a 10-acre property has 1 acre park, but a 100-acre property will have 10 acres of park. So it will be much more amenities will be available for you to utilize tomorrow. So apart from these 3 important things, depending on which side of the town you are, you can choose, if you're in West Hyderabad, there are opportunities available on the Bombay Highway or the Mumbai Highway, or in between Mumbai Highway and from Patancheru to, you can go outside Bachpalli and on the peripherals of the ring road, and then you can look at opportunities there. And if you are coming this side, you can look at the Sri Salem Highway, you can look at their location between Peddagolkonda, Maheshwaram, and you can go a little interior and try and see. But you also have to have a viable investment horizon for this, because nothing is going to come up sometime.
True.
You will have to have a slightly larger investment window for these investments.
What would the window be?
Ideally it would be about 7 to 10 years is what you should look at if you're looking at a plot and development.
I also wanted to cover, the HMDA and DTCP and the Gram Panchayat. If you could throw some light on the difference between all 3 and more on in terms of real estate in these areas.
So HMDA and DTCP are purely jurisdictional authorities where they are. HMDA is the core zone. Outside the HMDA zone is DTCP. Technically, there isn't much difference. Both of them are competent authorities who have jurisdiction to approve or give permissions to layouts. Okay. Gram Panchayat layouts are slightly older ones. When these jurisdictions didn't exist, they were being done through Gram Panchayats.
Okay.
In HMDA, and DTCP, there is a certain amount of legal due diligence also done by the authority. Authority is not giving you any guarantees or warranties on this. It is your responsibility again to verify the legal due diligence. But a certain standards are maintained in terms of road widths. For instance, the minimum road width in a HMDA layout is 9 meters. And that when you compare it with a DTCP, it's 10 meters. Nice. So the 10% of the total land area has to be left for parks or social infrastructure. If it is slightly bigger, DTCP and HMDA will insist on landscaping, greenery, blacktop roads, electricity connections, drainage
checking
yes, the social infrastructure is all checked at the basic level. It also depends on the developer again, on the standard of infrastructure. With regard to these projects now, RERA these are all RERA mandated projects. So there is a RERA number, you can take a RERA, there's certain information that is also available on the RERA website. Combined between both of them, you have a lot more information.
So I think there's a little bit of noise that's happening, in Tukkuguda and Maheshwaram. If you can tell us a little more.
This location has an interesting potential, but right now we don't have any of the employment zones that are existing in this catchment. The big employment zone that was being pushed in this location was the pharma city.
Right, yeah.
So there is a little bit of the new government does not want the pharma city to be at a singular location, is what we understand from the information that we have. So they want to do smaller pharma clusters around the regional ring road. So we don't know that plan as yet, and what the government's plan with regard to the land acquired for the pharma city at this point of time.
What is the current status in terms of the market after the elections?
See, in terms of a post-election one, because the micro markets were very hot, like we've been discussing.
Yeah.
So there is a stagnation in terms of purchases as such. But we are seeing some traction in the micro markets. Every micro market we are seeing traction, whether it is Tukkuguda, whether it is Vijayawada Highway, whether it is Bangalore Highway, whether it is the zone, the Golden Triangle zone. Their micro markets transactions are happening. In fact, even Chevalla market has seen a lot of action in terms of opportunities coming up and a good amount of traction. And then, the new government also has just come in. The certain policy issues are still pending. Like the last government had announced an airport metro, which was their flagship project. And they were talking about the extension of metro as far as Shadnagar also. Okay. And also to till Tukkuguda and to Hayat Nagar till Ramoji Film City and to other parts of the city, even BHEL and Patancheru. We still don't have a clarity on what's the plan on urban infrastructure at this point of time. But the new government also had very little time to settle down. It's been 6 months. We had 2 elections back to back. So the administration is being recalibrated. So new people have come in. So it takes some time for them to settle down, understand the whole process. And we also have a chief minister who has a fairly good understanding about this market. He's a veteran in this industry.
Yeah, I hear he's already
so he's been in coca-pet markets for, even before the market started here. So they've been here since the early 2000s. So they understand the growth, the need for infrastructure, transparency in the system. So all of it will take some time.
What role does RRR play?
See, it's too early to talk about because regional ring road technically is way out of Hyderabad. The thing with ORR is that in most places it came into the city, very close to the city. Like if you look at Gachibowli as an example, the ORR is just about 1.5 kilometers. But if you look at something like Hayat Nagar or Bedambarpet, or even the next junction Gatkesar, which is slightly out. So we are still this playing out differently at different parts of the ORR. Like a market like a Kesar or a Gatkesar or even between Hayat Nagar and Gatkesar, the development has been very slow. But in the markets where there is an existing market like Gachibowli, the extension has been fantastic. If you look at junction 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, the market has boomed phenomenally in these junctions. For regional ring road, the government also has to take initiatives to build satellite townships. More townships like Shadnagar has to become a much bigger town. Sangareddy has to become much bigger town. Gajwel has to become much bigger town. Yadadri has to become
in terms of infrastructure.
In terms of infrastructure, both in terms of social infrastructure, even in terms of employment generation. We cannot be Hyderabad dependent. You have to have 10 micro markets around Hyderabad, wherein they are independent of themselves. And then you can call it a cluster zone, like how an NCR is today. You could build cluster zones around Hyderabad. That is when the real growth will happen. And the speculative investment has already started. But somebody who would look at a 15-year window could look at this markets, acquire a slightly larger pockets of land, if you're looking at, maybe acquiring 3 acres, 5 acres, 10 acres kind of a parcel.
So I think I'll come to the most interesting question. If you had 1 crore, where would you invest it and how would you invest it?
Very interesting question. You're very lucky if you had 1 crore to invest. That means you've made that corpus at this point of time. But it again depends. Again, we've discussed through this podcast in terms of your life, your timeline, if you are in mid 40s and if you're looking at a housing space, then I would like to buy a good house at this point of time. But if you're looking at asking me, where is that opportunity in terms of investing, in terms of, you could look at small commercial real estate also if you are looking at immediate supplemental income. Or if you're looking at a slightly longer horizon, you can look at plotted developments also. Some of the micro markets we've covered in our previous question, with regard to Tukkuguda market, with regard to the Golden Triangle area markets, or peripherals closer to the outer ring road. You could stay as close to the outer ring road. Again, if size is not an issue, let's say if you're okay with a 200 square yard plot or a 400 square yard plot, then it is ideal to stay closer to the outer ring road because development is much more faster. If you're interested in farming or anything, you could go slightly, far and all. But the current costs are not viable for you to make any suitable revenue from that, because the cost of lands in Telangana, at least in most villages, the minimum cost of land is at least 25 lakh rupees, per acre. So you'll have to travel real far distances to get anything decent if you're looking at something in terms of farming spaces. So those kind of things, you have new opportunities are emerging now. You can also look at it, there is a SEBI guideline on fractional ownership that's called micro REITs. They're going to come in very soon. But again, fundamental research has to be done. People have to check if you're buying plotted developments, especially, please do a thorough litigation search. It's very important because end of the day, you could engage a lawyer or a legal firm. It would cost you very small fees, but it is a very important part of your journey in terms of when you're investing 1 crore of rupees, or even if you're paying a small fees for securing that asset. It's very important.
It's worth it.
It's worth it. You should check all the documents on RERA website. If all the papers are in place, if the permissions are not in place, choose good communities, gated communities, bigger communities, wherein you have opportunity, where the maintenance is also part of the, sale process itself, where the developer is, trusted builder is, most trusted builders are now making arrangements for maintenance. Societies which are maintained well, even older colonies, if you see where there is an active HRA, House Residents Association, where is stronger, where the maintenance is good, where the rates have appreciated many-fold compared to a neighborhood which is not maintained. So it's very important to focus on the community aspect, the infrastructure aspect, the developer part of it, litigation and RERA. All 5 are very critical. You can look at combination, give weightage points of 20% to each of it, and then look at an opportunity and pick it up, depending on, again, what's closer to your existing social circle. If you're part of, let's say, West Zone, you could look at these 2 locations. If you're part of the North Zone, you could look at, you could look at the Shamirpet market also.
But for people who don't have it, I think the market of, property under 50, 60 lakhs is, I think, drastically coming down.
Yes.
Whereas 10 crores has become a very common thing in investment or buying, even if it's an apartment or an independent house. What are your thoughts about that?
So the 50-60 lakh segment has been, most mainstream developers are not able to deliver in this category. This category is now being dominated by the unorganized sector. we still have the 50 to 70 lakh market. This is predominantly occupied by the unorganized sector who are doing small projects like 10 apartments, 15 apartments, 20
like
apartments.
A standalone
Builders are delivering these kind of projects. Some mainstream developers are also focusing on the affordable segment, but suitable incentives from the government side have to be built in for the sector to be, more. Even the developer is looking at his ROI. Every rupee that he puts in, he also looks at what his ROI is. This sector is a very challenging sector where the ROIs have not been good in the last decade or so. So in the sense that with the increasing land prices, this sector has moved from an organized to completely unorganized sector. Previously, we had industry leaders like Janapriya, which were focusing exclusively on this kind of category. But we don't have any industry leader at this point between the top 10 focusing on affordable segment, unfortunately. And we also, with regard to these luxury housing, every city goes through these cycles.
Yeah.
We go through when, luxury, affordable. So right now the flavor is more towards the luxury housing. Everybody wants to have that boutique portfolio of that one tower or two towers or five towers of luxury housing. Most developers, at least in the top 10, are focusing on at least having one or two big luxury projects. But this inventory, as an inventory is in the overall scheme of things, purely in terms of numbers, it's very small. In the sense that, it's about 10 to 15,000 units. Whether we have a demand for that kind of units, again, we will have to wait and watch. Previously, this segment was going for villas. Because the land costs have increased so much, the travel distance to which we are going right now, we are not able to put, Kokapet was earlier a villa market. So those 6,000 square footers were the villas. Suddenly we've replaced them with 6,000 to 10,000 square footer apartments. So large spaces are being created. These are not high density zones. These are low density, like, each project might have about 100, 150, 200 odd units. Even in terms of luxury, developers are not bringing in the services that a luxury product requires. It's not just that when you step into a business class today, just because somebody gives you a bigger seat, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, because it has a lot to do with service. Actually,
the hospitality, the service, the overall ambience, and the crowd that you sit with. If you're going into a first class lounge or today, it's just not okay. It's not about some 10,000 square foot of space. It's about the ambience. It's about the amenities. It's all about packaging the whole that whole one-day journey.
No, the entire experience
is packaged for you, right? That 16-hour flight is packaged for you. So same way developers today, in terms of luxury segment, the packaging has to be much better. The services around that have to be much better. System is understanding them, and the amenity value has to be much, much better. So that is also happening.
Maybe bring in the true sense of luxury.
Yes. Even the pre-sale luxury and the post-sale luxury also. Like, after occupancy, how can you augment services which make the living experience more comfortable? So that is where some of the developers are focusing on right now. We will see a big shift in this space in the next coming years. On the affordability, part of it, if something could be done, that would be wonderful.
So we spoke about, investing in different types of properties. But I think the contemplation is also, should I even invest? Or just rent? What is a better option for me?
See, from a financial standpoint of view, it's if you put it in an Excel sheet, there is no brainer that in a country which does about 2 to 3% yields, rental yields, it's an easier decision to make that you could go ahead and rent a property. But from a social perspective, in terms of giving a financial stability or a safety net for your loved ones or your family as such, I think buying a house, owning a house makes more sense. Also, if you have if you have not zeroed in on a place that you would like to settle down, as in, you would want to call that city your home, right?
Yeah.
A home is not just the physical space that you live in. It's also integrated with your thought of the city, right?
Yeah.
Like you are a Hyderabadi or you are a Mumbai or you're a Bangalorean or whatever it is. No matter where you're born, you somehow kind of identify yourself with that location or that city. Even in Hyderabad, people have this choice of micro markets. Somebody would call Skompally their home. Somebody would call Gachibowli their home, or somebody likes Secunderabad, somebody likes something else. So basically, if you are adjusted to that social infrastructure around you, so the moment you're ready to take that financial commitment, I think buying is a better choice. But until such point, I think it's easier for you to rent because the yields are lower and you don't have the hassle of owning it and maintaining it. And if you are traveling or on work, you don't have to rent it out and all that. The hassle is not there.
What is the market for rental deals currently?
See, different asset classes deliver different rental yields, but depends on micro markets again. But to be, residential rental yields do about 2 to 3% on the current market values of that location. Some properties that you would have bought in the past, they might give you a better rental yield because of inflation adjustment. Commercial rental yields are about 6 to 8%. Good, fantastic markets do about 8%. But the average number is at about 6%. Other asset classes are somewhere in the middle, warehousing and other places. The rental yields are similar.
Okay, I think, a lot of people have understood, have an overview of a lot of things right now. It's also come out that the government wants to increase the land value by, say, 30% and also, the registration cost. What are your thoughts on that?
See, currently the land values that are the circle rates to the market value, there is a mismatch. The circle rates are on the lower side even today. So most people today who are purchasing the property are purchasing at a much higher market value.
Right.
In the long term, this is a very positive thing because it will help the industry also, the cash components from the markets go out.
Yeah.
And then, you have more structured, in a micro market like Kokapet, where the market value is at about 7,500, then the circle rate is at about 2,500, So there needs to be an adjustment, and most developers are anyways, today not accepting cash, or they're moving away from that.
So the gap will reduce,
is narrowing.
Which is a good thing.
So we as developers also we are getting access to structured financing now. So it is it is good on our books. Also, it will give us in the long term. This has to be a consistent approach.
And generally, the value itself is, it's going to increase. So it's a good thing as well.
Yes, more in the short term, nobody wants to pay taxes. But in the long term, it will help us recalibrate the industry and also in terms of removing the unwanted elements from the industry at this point of time.
Maybe the transparency also will be, there's a little more information out there for people in terms of clarity because, there's like in Jubilee Hills, the paper value is different.
Yes.
The actual payment is different. Right? The transaction is completely different.
So that transparency is, of course, happening, like, for instance, in terms of supply and in terms of all this because of RERA, suddenly what is the sold
I
inventory.
think that was a big step.
So transparency is a fantastic thing, both for the industry and for the buyer, because we know what is there on the market, what kind of market values are existing in the market. So it is very important. This is a step in the right direction at this point. But again, they have to continue with that and at some stage lower the percentage of charge, from 7.5%, bring it lower, maybe consistently try and bring it lower. You increase this, bring this lower, could be a right way to go about
approach, it. Apart from your traditional investments like villa and plotting, what are the other options or other investment options that are getting traction?
So one big investment category that we are seeing is fractional ownership, which was slightly more unorganized up until this point. It was a gray area.
Okay.
You could say that. SEBI is bringing in some guidelines in that category. Fractional ownership is going to be a very interesting category wherein people can start off with lower investment also, with about 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs or whatever. A smaller amount.
That work?
So basically, there is I think the current structure is that an LLP or a private limited company is set up, and there is an operator who will collect people, multiple people, and they together own a property.
Understood.
So you own a small part of a big property. Let's say there is a 10,000 square feet commercial building.
Then you share
we share the rental yields, and when the collective together decides when to sell it after a point of time, there are big companies like PropShare and other companies which are building portfolios in this. But until now, we didn't have guidelines on it. SEBI has just come up with a paper and the guidelines are in place. Hopefully, we will have a proper options coming out very soon. That's a very, very interesting category. And another thing that I'm looking at is farming collectives, wherein a group of people are, there are farming collectives like Bee Forest and other people who are promoting owning farms together, like 60, 70 or 80 people come together.
Similar concept, but different
by
purposes.
Land.
Okay.
Yes, and then utilize it for different, from farming and other things. There are, again, if you're a slightly high net worth individual, you can look at AIFs, alternative investment funds, especially sector or specific funds which are focused on real estate. These are for people who are willing to put in 50 lakhs plus. Again, that is limited to a very small audience at this point of time. But a lot of people today even are buying fractional ownership from developers also. I think that's a slightly tricky space to be in. You have to wait out for the guidelines to come in, proper structures to emerge.
It's not officially out.
It's
yet.
It's not illegal or it's not legal, but the way SEBI is structuring right now will give you a lot more clarity on things, on entry, on exit, on rental yields, on management fees and everything. Once there is a proper structural monitoring authority, it is a better way to go about it. Debt funds are always there, which are there focused on real estate. They are doing very good yields. They do a good yields better than other financial instruments, but there are risks associated with all these instruments. Everybody should, check, do a proper due diligence. There are a lot of, fly-by-night operators in all these categories. Investors should be very wary of all of them and, do proper due diligence and go. They're very good companies in these categories. They should do their due diligence and stick to them and invest with them.
I think, one last question and we'll end it with a very direct question for you. Should we wait or is it a good time to invest now?
It's a very, very interesting question. As a developer, I'd ask you not to wait. So as somebody who has a lot of inventory on the market, I would ask you not to wait. But again, that said, today is the time to do a lot of due diligence, in the sense that there is no need to rush into a purchase decision. It's not like you wait for another. It is very difficult to time a market.
Like you had mentioned earlier, there's also that aspect of journey or
right. So it's very difficult to time a market also. You don't know if something will correct in next 4 months, 6 months, 8 months, or it will take some more time on. You don't know. But what you should be focusing on is that you should focus on talking to multiple entities, multiple parties. You should focus on due diligences that we've discussed through this podcast about legal or towards, developer due diligences, rarer due diligences and all that. You should make a very informed decision. No sales channel partner or salesperson can push you today. if you don't take a deal today, it'll end tomorrow. No, it won't. There will be something interesting on the market tomorrow also. Take your time, maybe evaluate a proposal for about a month or 15 days, talk to people in the industry, evaluate your options, make an offer. You can negotiate with developers today, sit with them, understand their vision for the project. Today everybody has time. We will sit down with the customers, and this practice, you can visit multiple people, multiple developers. Take time and understand the portfolio of products that are available depending on your need. If you're intending to buy an apartment, then try and look out for what micro markets that you want to buy in. Look at who is the better developer, what is the premium he's asking between the number 2, number 3 guy, or what is the difference or the between the price, where the price fits for you, what kind of home loan is appropriate. Sometimes it is not appropriate for you to take a bigger home loan. So you can choose that
because of the duration.
Because of the duration and the amount, it will put you in terms of risks and everything. So you can choose a number 5 guy instead of the number 1 guy. So you can give offers to multiple people.
So go out there, put yourself out there.
There's no rush. You don't need to. No micro market is in a position to say that if you don't take a decision today, that opportunity will not be there. You take it slowly. You evaluate your opportunities.
No harm in window shopping.
Because in each micro market, like for instance, the new emerging market, like the Gagan Pahad, Shamshabad market, you have, like, let's say there is one ex-premium developer that was in the market today. Prestige was in. Godrej is coming tomorrow. Sumadura is there already. Aparna just got done with it. So each micro markets, there are 2-3 other new players that are coming in. So you will always find a good opportunity, even if, there is no rush. There is enough supply in the market at this point of time for you to evaluate and take that decision. But if you have arrived at that decision that I want to purchase, or if I want to start the journey, it's very difficult to time the market. Maybe there is a correction, that's there. Maybe there is a stagnation that is there. But because you're taking a 15-20 year bet on, this investment, it's very difficult for you to, calculate if this is the right moment. The right moment is when you are ready with all the other decisions, your social infra in place, your money in place, and your time for your EMI payouts and all that. This is as far as residential investment is concerned. As far as plotted development, again, look out, check if there is a good community that's available today. I think you should buy it, because currently prices are at a decent level. So you take your time, do your due diligences, and then choose the right opportunity and put your money in it.
All right. Thank you so much. I think it's been very, very, there's a lot of insight, certain things that I wasn't aware of, I am looking to invest. And I think this gives me an overview on what I should be doing and the things that I need to look at before I buy, right? Or rent a place. Yes. It was a great conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thank you.
And I'm sure the audience are going to be delighted with all the information that you've given them. Thank you so much.
Thank you.